There wasn't a whole lot of positive tonight. There was two things that I could see. West Virginia won, and I think we got a new quarterback that we need to be talking about on this episode of Locked On West Virginia.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good evening, guys. It's late, but welcome in to another edition of Locked On West Virginia. I had two thumbnails ready to go. For both outcomes there, and thank God the better outcome happened. I know there were people out there rooting for the Mountaineers to lose this game. You know who you are. Shame for shame. No, but seriously, much needed win for the team. I'm going to try not to be too negative because I'm in a negative mind frame. I'm not going to lie. It feels like we could win a few games here at the end of the year and possibly keep Neil Brown, which is really what nobody wants. He kind of is what he is, and that's the overarching part of this that I think a lot of people aren't happy about. It's not that the team won, and then the other thing is it just wasn't very pretty. They didn't look ready to go. If they played a better team tonight, they lose the game. Let's not make any mistake. Here I'm being negative right off the rip, but let's not make any mistake about Arizona, okay? I just want to point this stuff out so it's in proper context, and you can be mad at me if you want. But their only wins coming into tonight were against a really bad New Mexico, a really bad Northern Arizona team, and a really bad Utah team. And the Utah win looked really good at the time, but it's not good now. They're worse than us in the Big 12. The other games that they played in, Kansas State beat them 31-7, BYU beat them 41-19, and Colorado beat them 34-7. So we're talking about complete blowouts. West Virginia was in line to do something like that. They were, and I was proud for most of the game. But man, there was just things that when you play good teams, you're going to lose, and there's the reasons we lose. We're on full display tonight. We just played an overmatched team. They've got two really good players, three if you count. I think the running back's good too, and they don't have much else. Literally nothing else. Everybody else is hurt on defense. But man, Nicco Marchiol really played well tonight. He was 18 of 22. Listen, Garrett Green is our quarterback tonight. I don't know if we win this game. That's a fair thing for me to say based on how he's thrown the ball this year. Nicco was 18 of 22 for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Listen, Garrett is a lot of things, but he's not that. And we didn't need a quarterback that could run tonight. We needed a quarterback that can throw it. And Nicco was that guy tonight. And he cut in that throw to Jalen Anderson was just beautiful at the end of the game. I mean, I think it was Nick Malone maybe that got bull rushed back into his legs when he stepped into that throw to Jalen Anderson on the field side, on the sideline. He got hit right in the leg as he was throwing that ball, so he didn't even have everything on it, and it was a beautiful throw to Jalen Anderson, and it sealed the game. This isn't who I think will start. It's who should start. It has nothing to do with who is. I give a crap about what Neil Brown thinks. Could give two. We try not to cuss. Give two craps what freaking Neil Brown thinks. God, can't stand him. Anyway, Nicco Marchiol made a great throw at the end of this game. Really proud of him for doing that. He looked good tonight overall. I mean, in the touchdown throw, when's the last time we had a big-time downfield throw? It was nice to see. It was nice to do anything besides run the ball and throw it inside 15 yards. I was proud of the team. Jaheim White looked good in spurts tonight. Traylon Ray only had 2 catches, but there were 2 big ones. The defense played well overall, but then, of course, there were the blown coverages, which we'll get into in the next segment. because obviously the what I wrote right there reads for itself. So we have obviously we have issues in the defensive backfield. Our front seven's good enough to win games. So it's the same problems that were there before this game are still there. They've got a bye week to go and try to fix some of this stuff or get healthy. And you come back and you look at the West Virginia schedule and you think, well, hey, this thing's not too bad. You got Cincinnati, who, listen, they're no pushover. They're going to be probably one of the 5 best teams who played this year, something like that. They're playing Colorado tough right now in the first quarter. And then you look at who we have beyond that. Baylor might be the hottest team in the league, which is pretty crazy to think. They're not an easy out anymore. Look what they did today. They beat Oklahoma State 38-28. Then they put up 60 last week on Texas Tech. They put up 21 on Iowa State, which is more than we put up. Not by 1 point, but still. So I don't want to overlook Baylor, but we should win that game. UCF, we should win that game, and Texas Tech, we should win that game. We should win the rest of these games, but we probably won't. We'll probably slip one or so here. But the possibility exists for Neil Brown to win 9 games the second year in a row, and it could be complete false. That's the worry. But in this game, I felt like it was really hard to watch at times. The referees, it reminded me of Pitt when the flags just would not stop coming. Teams looked a little bit undisciplined tonight. It's tough when you go on the road. It was basically 4:00 when they kicked off for our guys. So I understand it wasn't an ideal situation being in Arizona. It was basically it was basically 7:00 for us, and I'm sorry, my reversed here. It was 7:00 for our guys. It was 4:00 for them. So when the sun should have been down, it was like burning hot outside. So I'm sure that's weird, But this is one of those games where I'm happy that we won the game. My butt was clenched all the way to the very end because I thought for sure we were going to give that thing away. If we would have given that football back, I shudder to think what would have happened with McMillan, who is by far the best receiver we played probably since Calvin Johnson. Like, you don't run into guys like him very often, and you can look and see, okay, that's a pro. McMillan's a pro. It's not close. He's the best receiver in the country, in my opinion. I don't know how I don't know how you get much better in a given season. And he's not just a college receiver. He's 6'5", he's 200, and he's C.J. Donaldson's build, but he's a wide receiver. It's pretty wild. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's been tough. It's been tough to watch this year, guys, overall. I tried to be happy during the game, but I couldn't stop criticizing things that I just have seen so many times. Really glad that Neil Brown turned back into his old self again when the pressure was off against the team that we were supposed to beat in Arizona and went for these 4th downs. 2 straight weeks against Iowa State and Kansas State, he's kicking field goals on 4th downs except for one play. And Garrett Green was, I think, concussed during that play, or he was hurt. I know that. It was 4th and 1. We tried to throw it to Cole Taylor. But other than that, Neil Brown's kicking field goals against them teams on the 4th downs. Part of that's because they're better. The other part of that, is because I feel like he just doesn't make good decisions under pressure. So, it is what it is. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, let's address the elephant in the room. How does Jordan Leslie have a freaking job? This is Locked On West Virginia. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break down this byproduct. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night, then drink responsibly and you'll feel better tomorrow. Here's how you use it. For the best results, make sure you drink your pre-alcohol for your first drink of the night. Then pace yourself. Drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep. Enjoy tomorrow. Wake up feeling refreshed and ready to take on the day. Go to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Locked On College at checkout. 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember, head to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege. That's zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege. All right, guys. Back. Thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen every day. And from being part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day. Okay, so I know some of you guys are going to criticize me for being overly negative on this one because we won the game. And I just, let me know down in the comments if I'm being too negative, and I'll try to reevaluate and go a different direction. I'm just not happy with how the game ended. I just the staff just cannot hold on to a win or onto a lead. It's just so hard for them. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just the overall philosophy or if it rubs off on the players. There's no killer instinct. There's no Michael Jordan. There's no Kobe. I've said this many times now. Neil Brown's teams don't have the Michael Jordan, the killer instinct to put teams away. The Tom Brady, that have this innate will to just stomp people out when it's time to do it. Like, we did everything but give this game away tonight. And Jordan Leslie is probably the most culpable. And thanks to Coos, who reminded me in the comment section, Coach Brown in the secondary, Shadon Brown in the secondary, also culpable. There's no way that – I'm not saying there's no way they're not going to have a job, but there's no way you can justify keeping them beyond this year. I tried to defend Jordan Leslie last year because we won 9 games. The defense was average. We had Beanie, so we had a decent secondary. Had Charles Wood stayed, I think it could have been really good, but he was injured, so it wouldn't have mattered. And then Malachi Ruffin stuck around and became pretty good on the other side, for what it's worth. Not elite, but good. That's not good enough, though. That, his best year was, 2020, when we had a top 10 defense, 2021. And I just wonder how much of that was off of Vic's coaching philosophies, and then he just kind of ran out of that mentor to tell him. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws with Jordan Leslie. So nobody's talking about Nick Saban, John Waffle. And he's definitely coming to town to consult. So at the end of the day, he's not coming to Pitt. So I personally feel like Jordan Leslie, you could make a case that he could be gotten rid of during the bye week, but they're not going to do it off a win. There's no doubt about that. Had they lost the game, I wouldn't have been shocked at all had something like that happen, but it didn't happen. So let's put him in timeout since he's just coming in here to troll. Okay, so am I being too hard on Jordan Leslie as well? I'm curious. I really am, because I get that from people. People get in the comments and say that it's, the players have to make plays, and Jordan Leslie's doing the best he can. And then I got told, look, Aubrey Burks is injured. I don't know. I can't defend it. It's indefensible. This is somebody in the comments let me know how many times this year has there been a miscommunication in the back end that led to a touchdown. How many times? At least once a game. I can name out loud that it's happened against. Let's see. I'm talking about this isn't just getting beat on a play that happens. That's we're in zone coverage, and like tonight, it was Trey Lathan, I believe. The receiver got on him and just ran by him, and by the time he realized that he couldn't recover in time, last week against Kansas State, it was I can't remember, but it was a linebacker again, which it continually shows up when you watch this, and it's happened multiple times this year. Nicco did it. He would motion linebackers or he would motion to receivers or tight ends to get linebackers in favorable matchups. You go back to Kansas State. They remember when DJ Giddens put the angle route on Tyron Bradley and just destroyed him. There's an example of just scheming against our linebackers that can't cover. The touchdown against Lathan was obviously they schemed that for T-Mac to get there in that spot. And the adjustments, like if Trey Lathan's on McMillan, you're in bad trouble. In bad trouble in any scenario. I don't care if he catches a screen. I don't care if he catches a bubble screen. I don't care if he's going downfield. I don't care if they're running headfirst into each other. McMillan's good. He's a better athlete in almost every way than anybody. So you've got to put – I mean, it was basically Garnett Hollis or bust tonight, and even that wasn't a good option. But my biggest issue really has been with these broken coverages that keep happening. And I don't know why they keep happening. So I can't explain it. I need somebody that knows more about it than I do to tell me because okay, so let me actually sit and think. So obviously against Penn State, first game of the year, it happened at the end of the first half. Remember, the game was 13-7. We were about to go into the game against Penn State 13-7 at half. Right before the half, they go wide open, 30 seconds to go. All we had to do is just stay in front of their guys. Maybe they kick a field goal at 16-7 at half. 20-7 has a completely different tenor to it. Boom, broken coverage, touchdown at the end of the first half. It changes the game. Iowa State, you had two, right down the middle of the field. Rocco Beck put it right on them. Kansas State, you had two. Obviously, the one to DJ Giddens was what I consider a schemed one, where it wasn't a broken coverage. And then you had the one to the receiver who was his first catch of the year. Real tall, lanky receiver that they put in the slot on our linebacker. And he ran past the linebacker right into Anthony Wilson at full speed when the linebacker is supposed to chip him as he goes by, as he drops in coverage. It's very much like in basketball. What do they tell you in basketball if you're in a zone defense and somebody flashes across your face? Does anybody know the rule? Nobody just crosses your face. You got to put contact onto them, right? You've got to chip. You've got to hedge. It's a similar concept in football, as long as it's within first 5 yards in college. Maybe it's 7. I'm not sure. I know in the NFL it's 5 yards, but I've seen a few different times where that's just not happening. I don't know if it's not being taught. I don't know. But these openings keep happening over and over again. And I mean, if I'm in teams, I throw it deep against West Virginia 5-6 times a game just to exploit that. I mean, there's an easy 7 points a game out there for you, if not 14, based on these busted coverages. You're not beating anybody. It's just that people are not doing what they're coached to do, or it's not being corrected right, or the wrong players are on the field. I don't know. It's very frustrating. I probably said that a bunch of times already. I know, very frustrating. Let's see. Uh, so who's number 7, guys? His name just slipped my mind from West Virginia. That he's the freshman. I can look it up on the roster really quick, but he's the one I keep asking myself. We heard so much about him during, and I'll find it right here. Let's see. Is it number 7? I thought it was number 7. Let me just keep looking here really quick. Zay Jennings, 17. 17, Zay Jennings. So on that kickoff, you saw Zay Jennings put the wood on somebody. He's a spear / nickel / somebody in the backfield. And I know he's a freshman, but God, man, I seen him stand out so many times. This not Traylon Ray. I was talking about defense. Sorry. I've seen that kid, and it's all we heard about during the summer. And then Neil Brown just will not play young players. Won't let them learn on the job. Unbelievable. So I'm overall just the defensive part of this football team is it's inexplicable. Really, like I can't even really put words to it. It's changes need to be made. That's the best way I can put it. There's no adjustments, none. And then we'll talk about the rest on the other side of the break. But I mean, what was Fabianich doing exactly? Fabianich, however he says his last name, he was supposed to be. He did. He worked for the Cowboys for years. Like I've said a couple times, maybe there's a reason he no longer works for the Cowboys. Let's discuss that right when we come back. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by Game Time, guys. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. Curated deals make it easier to find the best price on great seats. You can look at the seats before you buy, and with their lowest price guarantee, they have event cancellation protection, job loss protection, etc. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. 110% of the difference if you're not satisfied. That's the low price guarantee. It's covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Remember, though, terms do apply, but again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today and then ask yourself, what time is it? It's game time. EA Sports. It's in the game. All right, guys. Segment 3, Locked On West Virginia. I'm proud of the team. I know I've ranted and vented, and I'm going to get criticized for it. I know it. And sometimes it's hard for me to just not care about that stuff because I want you guys to be miserable right along with me, I guess. I don't know. No, but I'm not miserable. It's just that once my eyes got set on potential Big 12 championship, I was really disappointed when we didn't live up to those expectations. It's actually a lot like what Pat McAfee spoke about earlier today. If you'll remember, he said, listen, I don't think Renbecker knows West Virginia fans. Penning a letter to them isn't going to do crap. It's not going to do anything. If anything, it's going to make most of them mad. Writing a letter to say I'm sorry about the state of the program right now is like putting a Band-Aid over a bullet hole. So, and it's true. I'm so unhappy with the way the season's gone that I can't even enjoy the wins that we're having. So frustrating, especially when I live for this. I do. I live for this. but it's 6 years into this. It's not like it happened overnight, guys. This isn't overnight. This is me coming on here for years now, literally years. Think about that. I've been coming on here for literally plural years, defending Neil Brown over and over and over again. I've defended him over and over and over again. I admitted I was wrong about Garrett Green, and and so as information comes in, like I say, my stance is going to change on things. And I think Nicco Marchiol is the quarterback for the future. If you want me to at all be able to swallow Neil Brown being the coach next year, if this team goes on a run, if you want me to be able to swallow it at all, then you need to play Nicco Marchiol the rest of these games and concede that so that I can have something else to be excited about. Because if he sits on the bench the rest of the year, all I'm going to wonder going into next year is, do we even have a quarterback? Because I haven't seen enough yet. I don't know if he's capable of leading this team yet. He still looks pretty jittery back there, and he doesn't look decisive yet. And I think if he could play the rest of this year, he would get there. And then they could put some real receiver talent around him, and I think he's good enough to lead this football team. But if you start Garrett the rest of the way, I don't know that that's true. And my biggest takeaway is I saw enough tonight. What Nicco did, I don't think Garrett could have done. Garrett could not have gone 18 for 22 in any game. It's just not who he is. And then Nicco did the one thing that Garrett hasn't been able to do this year and hit a downfield pass that was beautiful. And he actually had two. If you remember, Traylon Ray, I think it was Traylon Ray, tried to grab one of them with one hand. He actually threw two that should have been caught. One was caught, but the other one was not. So reps with the starters, though, is not the same thing as just playing in the Big 12 against Big 12 teams. And he needs to see it over and over and over again, you know. So I'm just saying, if you give me my druthers, I just want to make a coaching change and start over. I think we're to that point no matter what happens the rest of the year, because the teams we have left on the schedule, none of them answer the question of, is Neil Brown a good coach? Because none of the teams we've already played all those teams. The teams that are considered good, we've already played. So it's going to be the same thing again. If you win the rest of the year, the same thing in my mind is Neil Brown beats the teams that he should beat and loses to the teams he should lose to. And there's a lot of people that are happy with that. That's the definition of middling and mediocre. And I can't swallow it. So if you're going to make me do that, at least do it with the quarterback that I can get behind for the rest of the year. Garrett can't stay healthy. My biggest reason for this is I don't think Garrett's healthy enough to impact the game like he did last year. That's my overall take on that. I said it before this game. I felt like coming into this game, 100% Garrett Green gave us a better chance to win, but I was wrong about that. Nicco really showed me a lot today. He made clutch throws. So I don't know. I mean, maybe Garrett gets a lot of those plays with his legs and he makes some throws, does it his way. But that's the thing. Garrett's not big enough and is able to stay healthy enough at this point to win games with his legs without being injured. And then what is he? If you just keep him if you're keeping him to be a passer, then you're really doing him a disservice. And if he can't run for getting hurt, what's the point of having the kid? Is my biggest point. Like, you could do so much more. Just listen to me on this before we get off here. Imagine this. Imagine if you ran the offense regularly with Nicco, and then use, like it was supposed to be reversed for Nicco. How about you reverse it and use Garrett in packages, right? You use Garrett and run packages, and that would be a heck of a thing to have to defend 5 or 6 times a game. You get inside the 20, maybe you bring Garrett in, and you give him a couple run pass options. I don't know. Like I think there was a way to use Garrett, but who knows? At this point, we already know what the answer is. We already know that it's going to be his job when he comes back. Like I said, this wasn't me getting on here and saying I think that Garrett Green. This isn't me getting on here saying I think Nicco's going to be the starter. I think he should be the starter, but I don't think he will be. So thanks for sticking with me. West Virginia's a winner. That's always good. We love that. If you watch three guys before the game, they're going to be really smug this week, so get ready for that. 31-26, the Mountaineers do it, even though they tried to give it away. So we'll see what the future holds for next week during the off week. Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen. For your second or last listen today, I encourage you to watch Drake Toll and Locked On Big 12. He leads the conversation in all things Big 12 and really pulls no punches when it comes to Big 12 rumors and any kind of news regarding the Big 12. Make sure you go to Locked On Big 12 wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube. All right, guys. Mountaineers saying goodnight. The Mountaineers get a win. This episode's over, and I'm out.